a culmination of everybody, years and years of conversations and learning and hard knocks and all of that stuff that comes together over lasagna. And I can't wait to see what happens when you get 200 people, 300 people in a room, so they can feel that energy. That's where it gets so exciting.
Welcome to the Just Like podcast. It is our hope that the gritty, real, and uncensored insights we share with you here will help you get your shit together as you explore and discover what it takes to living your best life on your terms. Purpose. This is episode 7 of a special series on what it is and how do you find yours. Yes, it's normal to be asking that question of yourself regularly. No, you're not hopeless. Believe it or not, you have everything you need. And this series will reveal what I mean and what you can expect if you join us for a day on purpose. And we'll talk more about that a little bit later. So we have a nice little roster of guests today. We have Jen and Lisa from Candy Consulting.
Candy Event Consulting.
Candy Event Consulting. And of course, Richard Booker, who we can't seem to get rid of. He's like here every Friday. We are so grateful to have you guys here.
Thank you.
And to have a conversation about something that we all think and believe strongly in is really important and it's a bit missing. So I'm going to pass the rein over to Richard here, and you guys are going to have a conversation about whatever shows up, but inside the vein of purpose and what it is and all that fun stuff. Richard, you got the mic.
Thanks, David. So I wondered if, I was thinking about our conversation today, thinking that folks might be interested in a little bit of info around Candy Event Consulting and what has that got to do with purpose and who are these two voices they just heard and these two faces they're just seeing. So maybe, can we start there? So what was your attraction to this event?
To the day on purpose, to the event, for me, obviously we love events at Candy Event Consulting. It's what we do. We live and breathe events. I think the first conversation we had, Richard, or one of them on the phone, you were explaining what you wanted to do with the event, who was going to be there, the speakers, the panel members, and the idea that this was a day on purpose. And I shared with you that my tagline for myself is that we plan events so that you can better express your purpose. And I said, what a beautiful marriage, or something like that, where we're able to dive into our purpose so thoroughly through the work that we do. We work a lot with strategy. We work a lot with teams that are working towards a goal, getting everybody moving in the same direction. But the deeper part of that is that we want you to be working and moving with purpose. And honestly, that translates so well in the events that we do. And in your case with the Day on Purpose, it was basically a no-brainer for us to really be coming on alongside you and alongside the team. We've already felt like this is a family for us because it's so well aligned.
Yeah, it's exactly the kind of work that we do best. The whole process so far with joining with the group in the planning process as well is we always align and we always kind of work within the teams that we work with. So we don't just come in and do an event. We come in and we become part of the organization that's planning the event. So we work with the committees and the volunteers and whoever is on board. And it's been such a great opportunity to work with the speakers and with the panelists and say, okay, what do you want to do here? What do you want to do there? And everyone has an input. And it's not just us saying, we're getting this caterer, we're getting this venue. Yeah. It's everyone together working in a way that the whole space and just the activations are going to be really a group sort of effort. And it's going to reflect everyone, your purpose. It's going to reflect the purposes and the basically the vision of all of the speakers in different ways, because we've got little snippets from everybody, which is so awesome, because we that's the way we love to work. So it's really fun.
Yeah, and I can say on a personal note for anybody that's thinking of planning an event, if you want to focus on the stuff that really matters, and not worry about all the other stuff that absolutely has to happen or the whole thing implodes. Talk to Lisa and Jennifer at Canada Consulting.
We make sure that it's not going to implode or explode.
Well, and can I just jump in quick too about the idea of working with teams can be really difficult, and a lot of people will shy away from working with a committee or a volunteer team, or even in your case to have the speakers and the panel members so invested, like they're deep into the work of making this event work.
Right.
That can be challenging, and in some ways, because we look at it from a purpose perspective, we are able to see, why are you here, speaker, panel member, team member, or a volunteer that's going to help out at the event, and really infuse their purpose in how they show up and how they are part of this event. So to me, that's where it gets really exciting, because then sometimes we'll say, well, our work here is done, because they now find a new voice or a new way to express themselves or a new way to engage in teams that they have never done before. And then the other part of that is the dynamic between teams. When you're really working from a place of purpose, you are showing up with kindness and grace and energy and a dynamic presence that you wouldn't otherwise if you're just checking off the boxes or doing something because it just needs to be done. So yeah, we get to play in that space where we're able to see that happen over and over. Yeah,
and it's almost like a metaphor, because knowing that that's all taken care of really creates the running room for all this creativity. I mean, I remember our first dinner, and David, you were there, and we had one question asked of us, you'll recall.
3.5 hours later.
3.5 hour conversation.
It was awesome.
And it was entirely on what does purpose mean to you? And the depth and resonance of that conversation was really profound, which people are going to see when they come to the day. I want to take it a bit personal for a moment, because you do make that reference in your content around purpose, and I just put a posting up on LinkedIn this morning that we are not what we do. What we do is an expression of who we are. What we're doing is an expression of our purpose. So if that's the case for you, what led you to this? How did you guys find this as the expression of your purpose?
If I could jump right into
in.
that one.
That's your question.
Ironically, the joke always was I was wearing different hats all my life. So every year I'd be at a different trade show. I'd be running the trade show, or I would be working in media, or I started a publishing company, or I would be something different. So my friends, that was kind of the joke. Every year it was a different hat, and I was having the time of my life. But went through quite a crisis actually in my life, and ironically, it was in the middle of that crisis that I had lost my voice previously, and starting the business, when I really sat down and I said, what am I about? What is my purpose? Why am I here? What matters to me? And it all folded into, at the time, it folded into this beautiful package of a business. And when I started, it was Candy Consulting at the time, and it was marketing, communications, and events for me was the best way I could express who I was. And it was incredibly scary. I had to put food on the table for my children, and I quit all the jobs that I had been previously working at and loving to a point. But this was putting everything on the line, and started the company in Winnipeg. And I remember it was December in Winnipeg, if anyone has been there. And it's cold, and you go to
country.
I dare anyone out there, if you haven't been to Winnipeg in -40, it's an experience. You want to do that.
Bragging rights.
That's right.
No thanks.
But it felt like in that, I actually wrote an article once, in that cold of what that was for me, that winter, even emotionally, all of those pieces, I felt I was so grounded in this decision. And ever since then, that was 11 years ago, I feel like we're just getting closer and closer to who I am. And like you would probably know, Richard, it's not a one and done. You don't kind of put your stake in the ground and say, this is what I'm going to do, this is who I am and how I'm going to show up. And then now you can just do that for 30 years. There is a process of growth and embracing things, the difficult and the joyful, and all the people in the middle of all of that. So what an incredible journey it's been. And then Jen came on with me 5 years ago, and just so incredibly aligned in how we work. So it's just been an expression. Jen and the team and our clients that we work with are part of the journey, and that's what honestly for me gives it purpose every single day.
Yeah. No, I'm on the same. I think a lot of people start with some sort of, not maybe trauma or some sort of major life crash. But I had always been an entrepreneurial type. I've always been one to not like having a boss.
She likes me sometimes.
I like Lisa very much. Lisa and I, but we don't have this boss relationship. We're very much a Betty and Veronica. That's kind of our running joke that I come up with.
You guys
crazy
kind of fit the
right?
profile a little bit.
Even with the hair.
That blew my mind.
Yeah.
And personality. We won't go into that, but okay.
That's like, we'll talk about
Start reading Archie. I gotta go back to those.
It's actually funny because I saw that I just saw some picture come up and I was like, that's me and Lisa.
Oh my goodness, yeah, totally.
And like the hair, the personality, the whole, like, she's the sweet, wholesome, and I'm like the crazy, whatever.
Troublemaker.
Yeah, troublemaker.
A little.
And she has to rein it in. And that's good. It works.
It's so beautiful.
It totally works. And but the thing is that the way that Lisa works is that she, and anyone that knows her, and I'm going to just brag about you a little bit, anybody that knows Lisa is somebody, it will know how giving and like just she'll allow you to be you. And and you've always done that for me. And, one time she asked me, why do you keep coming back? Because I was volunteering forever. and we just, like, the work was hard, and sort of, we went through a struggle even in Candy trying to figure out who we actually were. I think until last year when we finally said, like, it was like the light bulb was like, oh my God, this is who we are. We're strategists. We're not event planners. We're not checkbox people, we make the plan for the entire year and it makes sense. And when that happened, like, everything, right? Everything just went, like, we aligned with the right clients. And I actually this morning just reposted from our magazine launch last week. And one of my comments was that it was just so nice to just feel that family. Like, it's not just that it's our company, it's our clients are part of our family, and anybody that knows us is, like, we're friends now. It's not just, oh, that was a client of mine, oh, I know this person, not, so that's kind of been a really interesting change. And in the last few years, I did the corporate job too. I'm a single mom too, and I've had to have the paycheck, but at the same time, working in an accounting office was like killing my soul,
Right.
and that's just not me.
No disrespect to the accountants.
No, thank God for that.
Happens to be married to one,
God
and I love
for
them
them.
very
Yes,
much.
Tim, you're amazing. We love you. But, thank God for them, because then they allow us to do what we need to do creatively. But I've just never been able to work a 9 to 5. I have kids, and I want to go to hockey tournaments, and I want to show up at the school play, and Lisa gets that, and so she's always given me the freedom and the opportunity. So even if I'm working till 2 a.m. because we have a report due tomorrow, that's fine, because I can be at school at 1 p.m.
Right.
So that's kind of, I don't know my purpose exactly. Like, if you ask me what is it, I can't tell you, but I know that I've self-actualized, and that's actually been, somebody at the conference last year told me that, and it just kind of blew my mind when he said, you really have self-actualized. And when that word came to me, I was just like, yeah, like, I know who I am, I know what I want, I'm doing everything in my life that I want to be doing, and I don't wake up in the morning thinking, oh my God, I have to go to work today, or oh God, I have this project to do, because all the projects we do are amazing, and all our clients are friends and family now, and like, I miss Lisa if I don't see her for 2 days. Like, I was like, are you okay? Can we have lunch? Because we're, it's just that way, and I feel like exactly where we need to be, and it's because of the kind of work that we do, and we say no to the wrong fit now, which is amazing. And I think that shows with our clients as well. Like whether we're working with you specifically or not on this specific project or not, like, we're with you anyway.
Yeah. I'm just thinking back to that first dinner, and you weren't able to be there, Lisa, but you wonder if everyone hadn't been introduced. You wonder if anyone could have figured out who are all these people. And I don't think anybody actually wondered that, because
It's just
we're into this conversation so quickly and so deeply that all of a sudden, I mean, Jennifer's just part of the team.
Yeah, and it came out of nowhere. And I wasn't a speaker or a panelist. I'm just somebody helping support the event.
Yeah.
But that didn't happen. I mean, we're supporting the event. We're ticking the boxes.
Yeah,
but
there's no just supporting the event.
There's no
the,
just,
the,
right?
The light, fluffy, meaning a little no.
Yeah, so it's great.
Well, and I did say, I think the last time that we met for the lasagna, which was amazing, by the way, and I'm not sure who was the actual winner.
Pretty sure it was me.
I think it was pretty sure it was Jen, but you know what? We appreciated your lasagna.
There wasn't one
that was fun.
But I think we were talking about, when you go deep with somebody, you can talk, you're already in conversation with others, and then you put a bunch of those people in a room, and there is that common denominator that's already buzzing. That's what's happening with this group, with the Day on Purpose. Everybody was probably for years in their own circles, with their own friends, and their own projects and books and all of that. It's all buzzing, and then getting everybody together and giving the purpose of an event like this that is actually a culmination of everybody, years and years of conversations and learning and hard knocks and all of that stuff, that comes together over lasagna. And I can't wait to see what happens when you get 200 people, 300 people in a room, so they can feel that energy. That's where it gets so exciting, because that ripple effect that starts happening, even if you feel like maybe I don't know what my purpose is, showing up to an event like that and being part of that critical mass of people that are either asking the question or they're having that conversation, what a beautiful space to be in. And you don't have to have an agenda of what you're going to get out of the day. That isn't really the purpose of that day. The purpose is that we're coming together and the conversations are happening as a platform for those conversations.
Right.
It's such a diverse group. Like I walked into that dinner and there's, I think almost every age category is and background is represented, and that's the cool thing about how Lisa and I work too. Like, we're totally different generations, different religions, different everything, and it wouldn't make sense for us to know each other in life, right? Like,
probably,
right? Like, it just feels like it would just, people are like, who's Lisa? I'm like, oh, that's Lisa. But then it's just one of those things where when you have a common something, when you have a common goal, when you have a common even idea, you don't have to have the same experiences, because we don't, you know? I mean, yes, we're both single moms, but, well, you're not single anymore, but I still am. We'll talk about that later. Later.
I'm seeing another podcast. and a different host and all that.
Right,
unless I'm going to play the paternal role in this conversation, which I'm happy to do.
But at the same time, and her kids are quite significantly older than mine, totally different generation, but, we still it's the same thread that we all share. David, you and I somehow share some sort of connection, even though we're totally different backgrounds, totally different kind of people. And same with you, Richard. There's everyone at the table comes from somewhere else. Yeah. But we're all connected in one way, which is so cool to see and be part of.
Yeah. I love what you said earlier about self-actualization, and because I was going to ask you, for people listening, can you walk us through what that means? And then you just quickly walked us all through what that means for you. And it was probably one of the best descriptions I think I've ever heard. But I'm interested because you talk about it so eloquently and so fluidly. And it sounds like you're separating it, or you're not seeing it as connected to purpose. Did I get that right?
No, I think that I maybe the way that I explained it. Yeah. I don't know what, I've always thought my purpose, I'm a mom, and that's my first highest value. Yeah. So everything that I build my life around is around my kids, my work schedule, everything I do, like my bank account, everything is around my children. Yeah. Even today after this hockey tournament. Yeah. So it's just one of those things that I feel like that's who I really am, and maybe I don't understand the actual word, what the definition of that is, but in terms of self-actualization, I know exactly that I'm in the right place, because everything I'm doing and the people that I'm surrounding myself with are aligned with who I am.
Yeah.
There's no, and then when I start to feel, you start to feel like if you meet somebody or if you have a conversation or you get a client or you're like, oh, something doesn't feel right, those things yell at me now, which they never did before.
Yeah.
And I would just make excuses for, they're tired or they can't afford it or, whatever it is, they don't have the time. But everyone has the time. Everyone has the ability to do and prioritize.
Yeah.
And so I feel like in where I've become successful in the self-actualization piece is that I have given myself the permission to build those boundaries around what works for me and what doesn't. And that hurts people sometimes, and sometimes you have to say sorry, I can't hang out with you, or I don't have time, or whatever it is. You place those boundaries, and then you realize that you're growing and that you're happier and your life is better. And we've done that with potential clients. We've done that with places we've worked, like space, time, everything.
So it sounded like, but it sounded a little bit like you're sometimes you may feel like you're in a bit of a fog, but you're getting direction, and you now know enough to trust the direction because it's coming from in here. Yeah.
So that whole trust your gut thing, that's real. Yeah. That's a real thing.
I think part of that is also when you try something, and everybody's been there, where you kind of throw it out there and you're like, I don't know, let's try it, or let's go there, and for, I think, over time, and as you put your effort into something and your heart into things, and then either it goes sour or it's just a strange feeling, or it's just not sticking, like it's not something you want to continue with. I think over time, in a business sense, I think we have learned together how to have more of the really good stuff and less of the other. And honestly, the more that we've opened the door to really cool projects, really creative spaces, really neat people, but we're not sure where it's going to go, but we just opened the door to it. It has that opportunity to actually breed into something almost completely different in some ways. But because we look at long-term with clients, it's also a growing period. So if it feels right, if there's something about, like, I've always worked very much on my intuition around what I'm accepting and what I'm not, and it becomes a bit of a rhythm. And actually, I just chose my word for 2020 is rhythm. And it feels so good to me because I just know that there's going to be a cadence to what we do, that just, and not that we won't meet new people and have new projects, and that's part of the fun, but just knowing that we've gone through a lot of hard knocks with different people and different projects, that it just doesn't feel like we want to continue, or it's not aligned with either us as a company or us, one of us individually. And you kind of learn over time to let some things go,
and that's okay,
and that's it's actually great.
And it's great. And it's so great to allow yourself to just
and trust that on the other side there's going to be something even better.
Thank you so much for coming and sitting and having a conversation, and what a really remarkable conversation it was. There was a few things that really rose to the top for me when I listened. The first thing was that we're all connected in some way. We truly are all connected in some way. We are how I got it created for me at one point is we are all spiritual beings on a human journey, and we just happen to be, on this journey together, right, with one another. And the fact is, and this is true, whether you believe it or not, you can have it all if you really are willing to step in and do what's necessary to actually have it go the way you want it to go, because you actually have a say in how it goes too. Most of us feel like that's been removed from our ability, right? But that's not the case. And then this other really great thing, and I rule by this realization, is that we can justify all of our actions and our inability to do things, to move forward. They can rule our worlds. Equally so can an empowered choice. And so, again, at any point in our lives, we have choice in the matter. And that I really got clear out of this podcast. So thank you so much for representing that to me and to everybody that's listening. So this is all in building up some anticipation around the first ever Day on Purpose conference here in Calgary. It's bringing together a fantastic community of speakers and presenters, people like you and me at various stages of uncovering their own purpose. It will be a day of stories and discovery that will work to make a very high level and at times hard to understand topic relatable and uncomplicated. You are brave enough to start the journey, and we'd love for you to join us.